Bill Haney has been denied access into Australia. So for the first time in Devin Haney's career, at least from my knowledge, he will go into a fight without his dad being there with him. Now, he won't be completely alone because I believe he is accompanied by Zab Judah's father, I think it was. It was someone related to Zab Judah. And they'll be monitoring Devin Haney, whilst he's in Australia. So, how will this affect Devin Haney? Because if his father's been there for him every step of the way, he probably finds comfort in his father's presence. He probably wants his dad to be there, to give him words, to motivate him, to encourage him. But he's not going to be able to experience that for the first time in his career. So this will be something like a barrier for Devin Haney, and he's going to have to overcome this mental challenge. Another thing I want to mention, guys, is Devin Haney is often being called a kid. But imagine if he were to go to Australia without his father and beat George Kambosos and become the undisputed lightweight champion of the world. That would be incredible, and then therefore everyone would have to be saying that, this Devin Haney guy, he's not a kid, he's a man. If he were to beat Kambosos without his father, this is a great opportunity, in my opinion, for Devin Haney. Although he will be sad about his dad not being there, he has to grow from this situation. He has to see it as an opportunity to prove to people that he is a man, to earn the respect of the other people. Because everyone in boxing I've seen calls Devin Haney a kid and says, you know what, I'm going to talk to your dad, that you aren't the man, and so on and so forth. To be honest, out of all the lightweights, I'm impressed the most with Devin Haney. One, because of his skills, and two, because of his attitude. I feel like Devin Haney has been the number one guy in terms of trying to force a big fight. When Vasily Lomachenko was the WBC champion, Devin Haney was putting pressure on him, saying, I want to fight, and he even ended up calling him Nomachenko because he felt like Lomachenko was ducking him. We also seen him, pressing Teofimo Lopez, saying, when are we going to fight? Saying that we need to see the undisputed fight, but Teofimo Lopez opted to go with George the Ferocious Kambosos, and he ended up losing. And as soon as Kambosos becomes a unified lightweight champion of the world, Devin Haney says, you know what, let's make it happen, Kambosos. A lot of the arguments leading up into this fight have been about, was Devin Haney chosen or was George Kambosos forced into the fight? Well, if we look at it, we know that Kambosos was forced, in my opinion, I believe he was forced because he wanted to fight Lomachenko, which I found absurd because Lomachenko is in the middle of a war. Ukraine, we know that they're fighting Russia. I don't really want to talk about it that much because I don't know how it could affect my channel. So Lomachenko is not really in a good situation. I don't think boxing is, at the forefront of his life at the moment, considering what's going on in the world. So it was quite nonsensical for him to want the Lomachenko fight ahead of the Devin Haney fight. So he went to the next best thing, which was Devin Haney. If Lomachenko wasn't involved in this war, if this war never happened, do you really think George Kambosos would have fought Devin Haney? He would have fought Lomachenko, in my opinion. We have heard that Devin Haney was very willing to make himself the B-side, and I think that's important for fighters to be humble because Kambosos is the unified champion. He's going to Kambosos' country. I think regardless of who wins the fight, there will be an immediate rematch, and I think he's also signed, the winner has agreed to fight Lomachenko after this rematch, because there's going to be two fights between George Kambosos and Devin Haney, regardless of who wins, and then I think the winner goes on to fight Lomachenko, and then that contract will be up. So he took in what he believed was a lowball offer in order to become the undisputed lightweight champion of the world. He went to George Kambosos' country and was willing to make himself the B-side. So I respect that, because a lot of fighters, I don't want to say that they overvalue themselves, but they price themselves out of fights. They say, oh, I want this split, or I'm worth this amount of money, and it's unrealistic, because when you look at their pay-per-view numbers, you know, and look at their ticket sales, they're not filling out stadiums, and they don't have the best pay-per-view numbers, but they want an unrealistic amount of cash. So Devin Haney took a low ball offer, so you have to respect that. Another topic that I wanted to touch on pertaining to Devin Haney was the criticism of his punching power. Now, I think this is wrong of people to say that. Well, it's not wrong, but I think it's harsh, because people are saying that Devin Haney is pillow-fisted because he hasn't knocked someone out since, what, 2019? Now, although he hasn't knocked someone out since 2019, does it necessarily mean he's pillow-fisted? I don't know. Maybe the people he's fought has got good punch resistance. If we look at guys like Jorge Linares, to be fair, I think Linares got knocked out recently by a guy Devin Haney actually beat. So you could say, well, Devin Haney didn't have enough power. Some people are saying Devin Haney is a bit insecure because he went up to Jorge Linares after the fight and asked him to rate his power in comparison to Lomachenko. And Jorge Linares said to Devin Haney's face that, you know what, yeah, your power was good. But as soon as Devin Haney wasn't there, he was saying, nah, this guy, he's not a big puncher, that he didn't feel any power, and so on and so forth. But the reality is that Devin Haney doesn't have to be a big puncher. These guys aren't like heavyweights. The punching power to punch resistant ratio is much more neutral. It's not distorted like it is with heavyweights. Like, heavyweights have a lot of punching power and they don't have a lot of punch resistance, but lightweights, welterweights, light middleweights, super middleweights, these guys have a lot more punch resistance, and they don't necessarily hit super duper hard like you see in the heavyweight division. So you won't often find guys like Gervonta Tank Davis, to be honest. You'll find most of the top level fights, the elite level fighters in these lighter weight classes, it will go the distance. It will be a split decision, or maybe a majority decision, or a unanimous decision. You won't see many knockouts because these guys have good chins. So Devin Haney should fight to his strengths. I feel like in the Jorge Linares fight, he won that fight very easily. He was so impressive. Some people were saying that, he didn't have to stay in the pocket, that, he was being a bit desperate, that he was looking for a knockout that wasn't there, and that's the reason why he got caught. Maybe they are correct. Maybe it's unnecessary for Devin Haney to try fight on the inside when he doesn't need to. Maybe he should just keep it at range and win on points. If that's what he's good at, he should stick to it. He shouldn't change his style because he feels this person says he doesn't have punching power. But let's see if he can knock out Kambosos, because it's definitely something that can be improved as he ages. Maybe he can adjust his punching technique and explore certain things that will be able to make him generate more power. So, him being pillow-fisted, according to some, I haven't really looked into it too much, because I feel like at the end of the day, if he is or if he isn't, it doesn't matter. He has a certain skill set, so he's going to use that skill set. And if the knockout comes, it will come. He should fight to his strength regardless of what other people say about him. So going into this fight, I'll make a prediction video, or keys to victory. So I don't want to talk too much about tactics, but one thing I do want to see from Haney in this fight is cleaner punches. I want to see him land clean like he did against Linares, because I feel like in the Jojo Diaz fight, a lot of the punches, were blocked in that fight. So that's definitely something that I want to see him improve on, and hopefully we'll see a good fight. So yeah, that's the go with Bill Haney not being allowed into the country, into Australia. Devin Haney having pillow fist according to some, and also about Devin Haney being a kid. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. Peace.